So again, welcome to everyone. Thank you for joining. My name is Blaise from Rail Europe, and today we're going to be traveling to Canada, virtually of course, and we're going to discover Rocky Mountaineer. So if you have any questions throughout the webinar or at the end, you have a Q&A section at the bottom of your screen. You can use that to post any questions. If anything else comes up, you also have the chat functionality where you can chat to myself and everybody else. So feel free to use that as well. Before I introduce our host for today, we're obviously talking about Rocky Mountaineer. So just to kick things off, I'm going to launch a quick survey for everyone. Just to see how many of you have traveled on board Rocky Mountaineer. So there's going to be a poll that's going to pop up just now. So I'm just going to wait for all the votes to come through. All right, about 80% of you have voted. Just going to wait a couple more seconds to get the final result. So just click yes or no in the pop-up on your screen. There we go. 90% of you voted. Let's give it another couple seconds for those late ones. All right, I think we're about there. So we're going to end the poll, and I'm going to actually share the results with you. So you can see that 28% of you have already done the journey, which is pretty amazing. And hopefully we're going to inspire you today to be even more keen on doing it for all the rest of you. All right. So speaking of quizzes, we're also going to have quiz at the end of the webinar. We have another prize for you today. It's a Rocky Mountaineer merchandise package. So make sure you stay until the end to answer those questions to be in the draw for the prize. And now I'd like to introduce our guest for today, Ben from Rocky Mountaineer. He's going to take us on a really wonderful journey around Western Canada with Rocky Mountaineer. Ben, over to you.
Thank you, Blaise, and hello everyone. Thank you for joining Rail Europe and Rocky Mountaineer this morning. It's great to be able to get in front of you guys again, virtually of course, to talk to you about an amazing product, Rocky Mountaineer. Now, what I've done today is I've tried to make a presentation that gives you a little bit more detail about the past of Rocky Mountaineer, a little bit of history there, and then also talking to you about those secret elements that really make that Rocky Mountaineer experience. But throughout the entire presentation, you will have that Q&A function. So if you do have any questions as I'm making my way through the presentation, just type them in there, and Blaise and myself will be able to have a look at those at the end. If we can't answer them all, they'll most certainly be sent out to you afterwards as well. So Rocky Mountaineer, now it's an exciting year, 30 years. We did start back in 1990. The elephant in the room, it's probably not the year that we thought it would be, of course, but nonetheless, it is our 30th birthday. So I'd like to take you on a bit of a journey back to the very beginning. Because for those 30 years, we haven't changed our ethos, which is taking guests into the heart of the Canadian Rockies and really showcasing what the Rocky Mountaineer has to offer in that region. So here we go, back in history. So starting back in 1990, our founder, Peter Armstrong, began the Rocky Mountaineer brand. Now it's still owned by Peter Armstrong. It's a privately owned company and one of the largest privately owned train journeys you can take in the world. And as you can see by the photos there, there's definitely a lot of 90s fashion as well. You can see here Peter Armstrong beside our first logo of Rocky Mountaineer. And for anyone that's been in the industry quite some time, you'll notice behind him there is the red leaf carriage. Now we no longer offer the red leaf experience. We only have silver leaf and gold leaf. But at the very beginning, it was the red leaf carriage that took us to where we are today. He also has his children that are heavily involved within the company as well, and they're all on the board of directors, taking Rocky Mountaineer into the future. Here's another picture of Peter Armstrong at the Vancouver station in 1990, welcoming some guests on board Rocky Mountaineer. Now, he does make his way down to the station to this day, once a month, to meet the guests and mingle with them, to see what that Rocky Mountaineer experience is like for the guests firsthand, which is a really great way to see the CEO founder being that in touch with the guests as well. Once again, the fashion there, it always makes me laugh, 90s fashion. Now in 1995, we had the delivery of our first gold leaf carriage, which you can see right here. Much of the external elements of the gold leaf cars today are still there. You will notice in this image that I will share shortly after this one, that the windows are actually wider on our new gold leaf domes. But in terms of the outdoor viewing platform and the dining experience downstairs, yes, of course, we renovated them. But in terms of how they are positioned, they're pretty much the same as our gold leaf carriages that we have had come into our fleet in 2019 as well. So Peter Armstrong, as I mentioned, very involved within the company. He loves to be able to mingle with the guests. And as I said, his kids are now heavily involved with Rocky Mountaineer as well. So it really does have that family feel at Rocky Mountaineer, not just another guest. We all want you to feel like you're a part of the family. It was a big year in 2019. We did have our first delivery of our new gold leaf domes. Now these were actually built in Germany, in Berlin, and you'll see a photo here of where it was en route to Vancouver. Now we had 10 in total that we have ordered, and I do believe now we have all 10 in our fleet in Vancouver. Sitting there waiting, maybe at the end of September, we might be able to get them on the tracks. Otherwise, we're looking forward to 2021, getting all of our gold leaf domes back in action. I wanted to put this here as well, just to show you how much growth Rocky Mountaineer has had. So you'll be able to see here in 2017, we had our 2 millionth guest travel on board Rocky Mountaineer. And to give you a bit of an idea about the APAC region, so Australia, New Zealand, Asia Pacific, we had our biggest selling years on record in 2014, 2015, 2016, and 2017. So you can really see that Rocky Mountaineer keeps Australia close to its heart, because we really have helped grow the Rocky Mountaineer brand, whether that's going through fully escorted or going through partners like RAL Europe to sell our train experience. You may have noticed as well, we have had a slight change at the end of last year to our routes that we have. So we no longer offer the coastal passage, which is the journey starting in Seattle or ending in Seattle. So now all of our journeys will either start in Vancouver, heading eastbound, whether it's that Jasper, Lake Louise or Banff, or alternatively in the opposite direction, heading westbound, starting in Banff, Lake Louise or Jasper. First Passage to the West is our most popular route. It has a lot of history behind that journey. You'll see things such as the spiral tunnels, which if you have any train buffs out there, it is on their bucket list. But it's also quite romantic taking the train into Lake Louise or into Banff as well. Now we are a daylight service only, so we do not travel overnight on board the train. This is great because it means you're not going to miss out on any of the scenery, as we only travel during the day. So you will stay overnight in Kamloops at comfortable hotels. Journey through the clouds is a great option if your client has Jasper on their bucket list, because you can take them from Vancouver up to Jasper, and then via sightseeing tours or self-drive, we can take them down to Lake Louise, Banff, and then finishing in Calgary. What you'll see on this journey here, some highlights to talk about, would be Mount Robson, which is the highest peak of the Canadian Rockies, which you can see in the photo just there. Also the Pyramid Falls, which is a falls that we pass by, and you can almost feel the water on your face. We're that close to it. Definitely a time to go out on the outdoor viewing platform. And then we have Rainforest to Gold Rush. So anyone that wants a slightly longer journey, because this is 3 days and 2 nights, overnight in Whistler and Quesnel, or maybe for those travelers who have already been over to Western Canada, but they didn't experience Rocky Mountaineer. So you want to give them a slightly different journey this time, then maybe Rainforest to Gold Rush is the journey for them. But for those train buffs that really just want to maximize their time on board the train, we have the circle journeys, which you can opt into, which is where you combine 2 routes together, do a complete circle through the Canadian Rockies back to Vancouver. My recommendation, if you're doing a circle journey, would be to do First Passage to the West, which is the red line, heading into the Rockies, and then we'll organize sightseeing tours or self-drive up to Jasper, but then come back around by Rainforest to Gold Rush, because you'll be able to see completely different areas each single day. If you do Journey Through the Clouds and you do First Passage to the West together, you do double up on that Vancouver Kamloops back to Vancouver. But maybe that was their favorite bit, and that wouldn't be a problem for them at all. Last bit of I will call it beginner knowledge here, and then I'll jump into the harder stuff. But just going through our service levels. There was some questions prior to this presentation about the different service levels we offer, and what are the differences and which one is better. I guess the simple answer is one is not better than the other. I've had guests who have traveled on Silverleaf and said they absolutely loved it. They wouldn't pay more money for Goldleaf. They don't see the value. But then I've had guests on board Goldleaf who once have done Goldleaf, they say there's no way we wouldn't have done this and gone Silverleaf. So I think it comes down to what your guests' expectations are and what their budget is and where they see value. So with the Silverleaf service here, you'll notice it's a single level carriage, and I will have a photo later of a real life Silverleaf carriage too. Inside, you've got the windows that go up into the curvature, so you still have those amazing views. I guess the difference will be the way you're seated and the dining experience. So instead of going to a separate dining room, you'll actually be plated, all your food will be plated in front of you. So a tray table fall down, little tablecloth at the top, glassware, crockery, and then you have a simple choice between maybe Alberta beef or salmon. You will not go hungry, whether it's Goldleaf or Silverleaf. You have pre-breakfast, breakfast, snacks, everything in between, and all your drinks are included as well. So that's beer, wine, spirits, soft drink, tea, coffee. So you're going to be well fed, and a lot of drinks will be thrown at your way as well. Goldleaf though is what we are famous for, and I think it's probably on everyone's bucket list. And you'll notice on this slide here, these three images is what is different between the Goldleaf and the Silverleaf experience. If your guest sees value in these three things, then they have to do Goldleaf. So the first thing is the windows that go right up over the top of the carriage there. You may have noticed on Blaze's video, he was seated up the top of Goldleaf, where you can see it going right up over the top. So whether it's on the left or the right-hand side that you're seated, you'll have those unobstructed views. And also those elevated views, because you do have two levels, seating upstairs and then dining downstairs. The dining experience is different because you do have that separate dining room. So think of it like it's a full culinary restaurant. You've got your wait staff, you've got your culinary team in the culinary kitchen, everything's prepared fresh on board, and you have that a la carte menu there that you can select what you'd like to eat off. I highly recommend the Eggs Benedict. If anyone's heard me talk before, I always recommend that because it is a phenomenal way to start your day on board Rocky Mountaineer. The reason I do Goldleaf though, yes, I love the food, love the windows, but it's definitely the outdoor viewing platform. The fact you can go outside, breathe in the fresh air, and also take photos out the glass in front of the camera, it really does bring out that outdoor experience as you're traveling through the Canadian Rockies. Silverleaf doesn't have a designated outdoor viewing platform, but in between the carriages, there is a half door that will open up. So you could still take those photos out the glass in front of the camera, but I wouldn't sell it as an outdoor experience. If they want that real outdoor experience, Goldleaf service is the one they should go for. Now you can see a photo here. What I love is the bagpipes are playing as you're boarding Rocky Mountaineer. It's something I was not expecting being in Vancouver, but it definitely made the experience. And you can just see as well, right here, the elevation that you get being in the Goldleaf service carriage. So it really does give you the opportunity to look out, up, and then down upon the landscape as well. We do have 24 Goldleaf carriages in service, but I do believe, I need to update this, this has gone up now because we have had a few more of our new Goldleaf domes come in. You'll see here the Silverleaf service. Now those windows at the top, that is really going to give you that extra view than just looking at the side of the carriage as well. And I can tell you when I was sitting there in Silverleaf service, I didn't feel like I was missing out on any of the mountain views because that window really does showcase that as well. We currently have 18 Silverleaf service carriages that are in operation. The station. So this for me was one massive surprise as well. So I was picked up from my hotel in the morning, my first Rocky Mountaineer experience, taken to this privately owned station of Rocky Mountaineer. As I walked through the doors, there was this pianist playing and there was lots of people around, buzz of excitement. There was tea, coffee, juices, and you just got to know all the other travelers from all around the world. But just having that slight touch of that pianist in the Rocky Mountaineer station really did bring that sort of higher end style of travel as we're about to board the train. Really something to see as well. Great place to start your journey in Vancouver. The wave off. Now, those 14 people or so who have been on board Rocky Mountaineer would know this very well. It is something that we like to keep a slight secret for our guests because it is a nice surprise. But whether it's rain, hail or shine, our Rocky Mountaineer staff who are at the station in the morning will stand out there in a line and wave the train goodbye in a row. Now, the biggest one we've ever had was 350 Rocky Mountaineer staff members waving goodbye the first train in 2019, which is a massive line. I wasn't on the train for that particular departure, but I was on one in September of the same year. And if that was less than 350, well, I don't even know how they fit 350 on the side of the train tracks there. And also our founder, Peter Armstrong, does participate in these wave offs as well. It really gives our guests that feeling that they're really cared for and they're honoured for a special experience going through the Rockies with Rocky Mountaineer. I've also placed this quote in here. Now, I know it's from 2017, but I think it is still very relevant for any guests that travel on board Rocky Mountaineer now and into the future. I'll read it out for you. One of the most memorable travel experiences we have done. From the moment you step into the station to the time you step off the train at the end of your journey, you are treated like royalty. And I really think this is something that showcases what Rocky Mountaineer is all about. Whether it's a touch point from giving us a call at our call center, whether it's a guest that is at the hotel and they have some questions about Rocky Mountaineer, whether it's an onboard host, whether it's us sales managers, whatever it is with Rocky Mountaineer, we do pride ourselves in the service that we offer our guests and also our partners as well. And I think this really does come to life at every point or every touch point for your guests on board Rocky Mountaineer. They don't have to lift a finger. They sit back, enjoy the scenery, listening to the stories and just really taking everything in. I'm going to show you 4 things here that I think is what creates that Rocky Mountaineer experience. So a lot of people say that secret sauce that really gives that world-class experience on board Rocky Mountaineer. The first thing being the culinary experience. So like I said before on Gold Leaf, you do have that culinary team kitchen where they're preparing your meals fresh on board. Not only we have amazing food that you can see right now on the screen, but it is a great place for that socialization. Going downstairs and sitting with people from all around the world, and it's not designated seating either, so you do get to meet a lot of different people from around the world. You really get to know their story, where they're traveling and why they're on board Rocky Mountaineer. And the first time I was on board, once again, if you've heard me talk, you've probably heard this story. It's about the Adelaide women who I sat down with for 45 minutes for lunch. And honestly, I had the most laughs I've ever had on board Rocky Mountaineer that time round. And they definitely went through the Baileys, that's for sure, when they were on board. But the culinary experience is something that a lot of people talk about, and it's something that we do pride ourselves on as well. The menu will be there for the season, but we do change it each season as well. So we have a designated menu. There's a lot of different options on there. So it's not like there's just one option or 2 options in Gold Leaf. But the menu will stay the same, and then the next season will change over. They may change sometimes the soup of the day, etc., but the crux of the menu will always be the same in that season. The onboard host. Now, for me, they did bring the area to life. They're there to bring you drinks, they're there to serve you food, they're there to make sure you're having a comfortable journey, but they're also those storytellers. They're giving you these engaging stories as you're going through the Rockies, not just about the landscape and the history, but their own personal experiences as well. There's a lot of people that are living along the tracks of Rocky Mountaineer who every single time will be out on their porch waving at the train. And some of these onboard hosts have actually gone and met these people. So they actually tell stories about the people that are living along the side of the track too. So this is what really brings that Rocky Mountaineer experience, not just being a sightseeing to a train, but also being a personal experience as well. But of course, the best thing is meeting people and making new friends. And there's definitely an environment on board Rocky Mountaineer where you can do that. So whether it's in the silver leaf carriage, gold leaf carriage, there's lots of opportunities to move around, talk to different people, and especially, as I mentioned before, during lunch or breakfast time in gold leaf, making your way downstairs is a great opportunity to meet people and learn about what they're doing as well. And there's a lot of people. I mean, for my first journey, again, I'll talk about my trip a lot. The first journey I did, I was sitting next to a 5-year-old. I thought it was for the older demographic Rocky Mountaineer, but sitting next to a 5-year-old. His parents definitely want to treat him. Didn't really appreciate, I would say, the scenery as much. It was definitely his iPad quite a bit. But at the same time, at the end of that journey there, I was invited to this 5-year-old's birthday party in Sydney. So you really do, in a short period of time, get to know the other travelers and form that connection too. And I think that is something that really makes that Rocky Mountaineer experience so special. The last one is the spaces that you're traveling in. Now, I used to talk about the scenery a lot, but of course we don't own the scenery, so I don't really think that's a secret. But the way we showcase the scenery is definitely something special to Rocky Mountaineer. So whether you're in the gold leaf dome with the windows right up over the top, or in the silver leaf, sitting back, relaxing and watching the view, having the space that you're in is going to make sure that you can see absolutely everything as you're passing through the Canadian Rockies. And that is what a typical day on board the train is like, bringing all those elements together so that your guest, or yourself if you want to travel on board, have the memory of a lifetime on board Rocky Mountaineer. Now, I did do a last minute slide in this presentation because there was a question about when is the best time of year to travel. Now, first of all, for bears, there's a lot of questions about that as well. I've heard many things. I've heard during springtime, they're coming out of hibernation, they're very active and they're out there trying to get food. So therefore you're going to see them. Or maybe it's in the autumn time when the salmon run's happening, so they're going to be drawn to those rivers. For me personally, I always tell guests that bears are active throughout the entire season that Rocky Mountaineer operates, which is from April through to October. What I focus on in terms of choosing the season that's best for the client is choosing what landscape they want to see. Because you'll notice here on this slide that depending what time of year you go will determine what landscape you see. So in springtime, I was there in April of 2019 and going out in the middle of Lake Louise, standing on this completely frozen lake like a winter wonderland was a completely different experience than if I was there in the summertime where I'd be swimming. So focus on what your client wants to see in terms of the landscape. Are they wanting to see snow? Are they wanting perfect temperatures, everything in full bloom? Or are they wanting to go in autumn when they've got that slight color change in the landscape? That's going to be an easy way to determine the best time for them to travel versus the bears, etc. Now, just to let you know, we have changed some things on board Rocky Mountaineer because of the current climate of COVID-19. So I just wanted to touch on this slightly, just to let you know that we have made some changes for hygiene. So we will be doing pre-boarding screening for our guests and crew to report any illnesses that would be occurring. So we'll make sure we do that before they enter the station. Enhanced sanitisation as well and disinfection. To be honest though, when we're on board Rocky Mountaineer, we employ cleaners that go up and down the train the entire day, cleaning every single carriage. So it's very clean to begin with anyway. Adjustment to boarding procedures. So, being in that train station, it is an enclosed environment, so there might be a different way of us boarding the guests moving forwards, especially with current climates. Restricted movement between the trains. So instead of having different hosts walking between each carriage, it might be where everyone's on one carriage and there's no movement between those carriages there. So we're definitely taking into account what we can do to protect clients and also ensure hygiene on board Rocky Mountaineer. This is ever changing as this current climate is. So all I can say is keep close to our website. We're always updating what our procedures are for the foreseeable future, and that will change with government guidelines as well. Last but not least, I do want to talk to you about the promotion. Now, I probably understand you're not at the point of selling heats at the moment, but should you get that lucky person that is confident in traveling next year, we do have the all aboard promotion up until the 28th of August. So just like last year, we're giving you things that you can add to a package for free. So 2 hotel nights, 1 free private car transfer, and 1 free dinner. With Rail Europe, you can help, they can help you select what you like and add that into the package. If you do add this promotion, full payment though will be the 15th of January. Last but not least, supporting and training. Now we partner with great partners like Rail Europe to be able to give you resources and content to grow your Rocky Mountaineer business, but also grow your knowledge. So some of the things we have is a Rail Europe training program, Once Upon a Train campaign. I know Blaze is heavily invested in this, and he will be sending out some more content around that shortly. And then we've got sales guides and marketing resources as well. I do believe Blaze is going to be sending out an email after this presentation with a lot of content and information for you to digest as well. There we go. Thank you very much. Hopefully that gave you a brief history lesson on Rocky Mountaineer and some other information that you can take away to talk to your clients. I have seen the question box flashing quite a bit through this, so I think I have a few questions to get through. But I'll pass back to Blaze first, and then we can jump into that.
Thank you so much, Ben. That was wonderful. So before I launch the quiz, if you have any questions, please use the Q&A box because it's a little easier for us to track all the questions as opposed to chat. I'll go through everything in the chat, but just to make sure that we don't miss anyone, just use the Q&A box. I will launch the quiz now, so you'll have plenty of time. I'm not going to close it as fast as I did the other day. So you'll have plenty of time to answer all the questions and also engage with our Q&A session. And I'll give you a bit of a heads up before we close the quiz. And we already have a couple of questions that came through. From Sarah, what's the significance of Scottish bagpipes on a Canadian experience?
Do you know what? When I read that then, I just realized I've never asked that question. I've just always taken it as like, oh, this is a great way to board the train. But what I'll do is I'll take that one away and I'll find out why that is the case in Vancouver, or if it's just a nice way to board the train. I'll let Blaze know and we can add that in the post email out.
I did a quick Google search
perfect.
while you were talking. It's not a definite answer. I mean, there's definitely a lot of Scottish heritage in Canada, mostly East Coast, so that could be part of it, you know, Nova Scotia, New Scotland. And there's also a World War I regiment that used to play bagpipes to help support the troops. So maybe related to that as well. I'm not sure, but maybe Ben, you can get a better answer than that. But at least
I'll find out for you there. I mean, they're good answers right there, but I'll make sure I find out why we at Rocky Mountaineer. I like to think it's just because it's a really cool way to board the train.
Yeah, and I think that's just the reality in Canada as well. It's such a mishmash of cultures, and they just take the best of everything and showcase it as well. Next one from Lisa. Do the guests have the option to purchase a recipe book from their train journey?
They do. So on board the train, we have what we call a merchandise catalog, and in there's lots of different things you can purchase. How it would work is on day one, you would go through and see what you'd like to order. On day number two, it's all brought to the train for you. And at that point, you can select what you'd like to purchase. Anything you don't want, you just simply hand back and you purchase what you'd like. So it's a great way to tell your clients to have a look what they'd like, order what they want, and then on day number two, they can commit with the purchase, and they can definitely get that cookbook as well.
Okay, perfect. Sarah was asking about PDF flyers for the promotion. I can answer that. So where can you get all the promotion flyers and other materials? So we have everything linked on our website under specials, but I'll also be sending out an email with all the resources that we have available for Rocky Mountaineer. There's a question from Mary. Do you have flexible booking arrangements in the current climate?
We do. So currently right now, if you are booking a 2021 package, the deposit is 25 Canadian dollars. So we're not asking for the full non-refundable 20% that we usually do. So if you have any clients in the interim right now, all they have to do is pay 25 Canadian dollars to Rail Europe, and then the full 20% wouldn't be due until November. Now, I don't know what's going to happen when we get to November. We'll probably reassess to see if we need to extend the flexible options there. We have also released 2022 rail only, which is the earliest we've ever done that. So if you have clients that want to just book the rail, you can put down a $25 Canadian refundable deposit, and they won't need to pay their 20% until next year, May. So lots of options for you to go out and still promote Rocky Mountaineer for 2021 and 2022 without asking for the non-refundable 20% deposit.
Perfect. Thank you. There's a question from Tina. I know passengers can book gold leaf, but silver leaf accommodation. How does this work in Kamloops with luggage and bus transfers?
Yeah, so what we've done moving forward in terms of accommodation, I'll answer that first, is that we have gold leaf on the train and we have silver leaf on the train. We are the train specialist. We're not looking at ourselves like we're a wholesaler like Rail Europe. So we have a wide selection of hotels that you can choose where you'd like your clients to stay outside of Kamloops. So whether it's some gold leaf, some silver leaf, you can cherry pick to create that perfect package, which is great because now you're in charge of the budget. In Kamloops, it is slightly different. And this purely comes down to the logistics of it all. We have sometimes 800 plus guests traveling on board one single Rocky Mountaineer concert, which is a lot of people to handle in a town like Kamloops. And on board that train, we may have an APT group and we need to make sure they're separate from a scenic group, or we may be needing to keep a custom group with one partner separate to FIT. So when you start to think about the logistics behind the accommodation, if we opened up to anyone can select where they'd like to stay, it would be a logistical nightmare for Rocky Mountaineer, because what we actually do is we ensure that everyone that's on that one carriage is picked up by the one bus at the front of the carriage and then taken to their hotels. If we opened it up to anyone can book anywhere, we wouldn't be able to have that seamless service of from carriage to hotel. So you aren't able to pick in Kamloops, but we still segment it to, if you're a gold leaf package, a gold leaf on board the train, you'll have the higher end level when you're in Kamloops. If you're silver leaf, you have roughly around the 3.5 star.
Awesome, thanks, Ben. But that's definitely a good option. We can customize the package in any way you want, and that's a really good way to give your clients gold leaf experience, but then book some of the other additional accommodation outside Kamloops on a silver leaf level in the packages. So that's definitely a good way to sort of save some money, but still get that experience. Because a hotel is a hotel. At the end of the day, the silver leaf accommodation is still pretty good quality. Whereas, you know, the difference between gold leaf and silver leaf on board the train is that's what the clients are there for anyway. Question from Philip: Are number of kids restricted in both classes?
We don't restrict kids, but to give you an idea is that we don't charge child pricing. So if you were to take a 2-year-old on board gold leaf, they would be charged the same price as an adult would be charged. So I always say to the clients, try to get them to understand that Rocky Mountaineer isn't really an experience for young children. I mean, we don't have change tables on board either. So infants, I would be saying no. If you've got kids that are, you know, you can have 10, 11, 12-year-olds who are mature and can actually enjoy that experience, then definitely bring them on board. I'd probably actually say if you've got a young family, maybe put them on the Silverleaf service, because they're still going to have the amazing views. They're going to have all the dining experience in terms of the great food still. But you're not paying for things that kids can't take advantage of in the Gold Leaf service. But if you've got parents that want to pay full price to take their kids on board, I've definitely seen it. As I said, I had a 5-year-old on board my first journey. On the journey I did last April, I had, I think she was 4 years old. We set a bed up for her at the back of the Gold Leaf carriage. She slept the entire way, but the parents had a great time. If they're willing to pay for it, then why not bring them on board? But I would be advising clients, young children, so anywhere below 6, I would recommend probably looking at a different experience and going on Rocky Mountaineer later on when they're slightly older.
Perfect. Question from Mary: can future credits be shared with friends or family?
No, they can't. So future travel credits are with the person who has had that original booking. They can't be brought together either. If you do have a medical case, so where a client has a medical certificate, they cannot travel due to illness, then send that through to your wholesaler who you've booked through. Or if you're booked director of Rocky Mountaineer, send it to your sales manager, and we can escalate that to see if it is possible to do that name change. But for a standard example, if you have someone that just wants to give it to someone else, it is non-transferable.
Okay, perfect. This one will be easy. Is there still a difference with luggage to the hotel between Gold Leaf and Silver Leaf?
there's no difference. So it's super seamless. We pick up the luggage. It's in your hotel room when you arrive at the next location. So while you're on board the train, it's all taken care of. It's like magic. It's actually, so for example, when you leave your hotel in Vancouver, we take the luggage. Doesn't travel on board the train. It actually is taken by truck to Kamloops. It arrives 5 hours earlier. Actually, no, it takes 5 hours, I think. One or the other. And they'll put it in your room and then it's there for you. And I can tell you the precision of it all is absolutely phenomenal. I've been on there 4 times now and I've always had my luggage sitting there. No mistakes are made there.
Yeah, that was super nice when I did it back in October, actually. Yeah, October. It was just so nice. You come to your hotel room and it's all just waiting for you there. You don't have to worry about it at all. It's just such a nice little touch. Yeah.
Definitely.
I'll combine 2 questions into one because they're both related to the same thing, sort of. Are you offering free amendments from 2020 bookings to 2021 bookings for same product? And then another one, what if the passenger had a canceled departure for 2020, rebooked for 2021, and then that departure is also canceled? Would full money paid be held in credit again, or would they be refunded? So a little bit about refunds.
Yeah, definitely. So there's a few questions there. First of all, if you have someone that has either had their departure suspended or they've actually cancelled it, so this is before it's been suspended, they are eligible now to book in 2021 or 2022. So regardless if it's a suspended departure or you've just cancelled ahead of time, they do have the option for 2021 travel and 2022 travel. If your client is wanting to book like for like, so same package, no changes to that package or anything like that, and booking within 14 days of the original departure date, then we have a price match guarantee. So your clients will not pay any more money for their journey. And if you were on one of those departures that were suspended, then you also have that extra 110%, which is great because if you have the price match guarantee and then also some extra money on top, you then have, credit to use to add maybe another transfer, or maybe you'd like to upgrade a hotel, or depending how much that credit is, you could even have a look at upgrading the service level on board the train. So when you're looking at moving year to year, try to keep your clients booking within that price match guarantee, because they will be better off financially in terms of having more money to spend to add to their package. But it also means you don't have to worry about collecting any more money. So all we're doing is we're just going to be taking the price, bringing it down to the same cost as it was in 2020, and then telling Rail Europe, for example, if you book through those guys, you have an extra 500 Canadian dollars to spend. You let us know what you'd like to utilize. We add that to the package. No money is taken from you guys, from Rail Europe, and you're pretty much set to go. So you get that added value, and you don't have to go to your client collecting more money. Of course, if you start to add on thousands of more dollars onto it, yes, you will. But if you're keeping it light flight, you'll be absolutely fine. Can you just remind me what the second question was around if 2021 is cancelled? That's right.
Yeah, if the departure in 2020 was cancelled, but then rebooked for 2021, which then gets cancelled again, what happens?
Yes.
That's a bit...
So with this question, it is very hard to answer because, I mean, if I go back to March, I was walking down the street thinking, what is this virus? I'm like, why aren't people letting me come and visit travel agents? I had no idea what it was like. Now it's June and the amount of changes that have happened since then are phenomenal. I even have trouble keeping up with it, and I only look after one product. So kudos to you guys looking at all those policies and all those changes. Now, I have no idea what the future holds in terms of if we cancel or suspend any more departures in 2021. At the moment, all I can say is sit tight. Waiting is not going to hinder your client in terms of they're going to lose money if they're waiting. And if you wait, you're going to get the best options moving forward. I would love to sit here and give you an answer around refunds in the future if 2021 is also affected. But the simple answer is I just don't know what the future holds in terms of this virus, if it's going to be a vaccine by that point, if it's not. But we will always keep the communication lines open to our partners at Rail Europe and all the other wholesale partners, but also on our website where you can go to the terms and conditions for all the updates there too. So just keeping communication open with you guys is what I can guarantee. But in terms of talking about cash refunds and what that looks like in 2021, unfortunately, it's a little bit too early for me to go into that.
Okay, perfect. We got 4 more questions actually. So if anyone's ready to go, because we are a bit over time, of course, feel free to do so. But if you'd like to listen in for the rest of the questions, you're more than welcome to stay. Are we able to guarantee clients will not be allocated the exit row seats in Gold Leaf that have obstructed views?
No, so we don't have seat selection. This goes back to as well the fact that the logistics on board the train, we go down to the point of looking at different countries and if there's tension currently in those countries together. That's the detail that goes into the seating of Rocky Mountaineer or the passengers on board Rocky Mountaineer. And the only way we can do that is to have full control over the seating. In terms of the exit row seats, I know in the Gold Leaf, the new Gold Leaf domes, the windows being wider, it definitely makes it a lot easier for guests as well. But unfortunately, no, you can't select any seats on board Rocky Mountaineer.
Okay. Question from Sue, is tipping expected on board?
Tipping it's always customary, but being in North America, I definitely think it's is expected. In a North American country, it kind of comes along with the service there. If you've experienced something that's, you aren't happy with your journey, then of course that is a choice that you can make. But if you go to get a taxi, if you go to a restaurant, if you go anywhere in North America, it is the tipping culture, and that is expected there. And you will find on board some suggested tips that you can give as well. But at the end of the day, it is up to you how much you want to tip.
Perfect. Is there Wi-Fi on board?
So this is the big question at head office for the last year, because we have been working on our technology on board Rocky Mountaineer to connect all the carriages together through, obviously with Wi-Fi, etc. Because it's great to have our onboard host connected to that network so that we can always be, with head office finding out information, or if there's some sort of sighting up the track, the entire train knows instantly. But the other thing is that if we put Wi-Fi on board the train, then it could take away from the onboard experience itself. Because once you give connection, iPads come out, phones can be taken out. It just kind of takes away from the onboard storytelling, the scenery that you're passing through. So we have worked on getting that connection on board the train, but we have yet to decide what we want to do in terms of giving that connection to the guest. Because it could be good for some people, they would see that as a positive, but then for others, some people like to travel on board Rocky Mountaineer being completely disconnected, not being accessed by work or something like that, and that for them is a highlight. So we want to make sure all of our guests have an amazing experience, but it's that balancing act between, if we give it, is that going to take away from the experience? If we keep it away, does that keep that, perfect Rocky Mountaineer secret sauce experience?
Good answer. Yeah, I would vote no. I think it's great that there's no Wi-Fi. Maybe we can check, because we still have quite a few people in the room. If you want Wi-Fi on board, can you raise hands? Let's see. All right, I'll just give you a bit of time. And while people are raising hands, there's another question, slightly related. Are there charging station or USB outlets at each seat?
Sorry, can you say that again?
Are there charging stations or USB outlets at each seat?
I should know this. I've been on board 4 times.
I think I recall them, but I don't want to say it for sure.
No, there definitely is. I charge my phone on there. There definitely is.
Yeah, I think
charge
there
my
is.
phone on board. There is connectivity on board the seats themselves.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just went totally blank there.
Perfect. And just a bit of a result of our quick poll. So we had 55 people in the room still, and 7 have raised their hands that they want Wi-Fi. So it looks like the consensus is that we don't want Wi-Fi, or maybe people just don't want to raise their hands either way. But yeah, it's a good indication. That's, I think, all the questions that we've had. So I'd like, oh, there's another one. Sorry. Question from Rosemary. I know you cannot select seats, but can you request a forward-facing seat to avoid motion sickness?
So all our seats are actually, you can turn them around. So in Goldie, for example, they will be facing forward unless you've selected to have them facing each other, because it's very, very nifty actually. You click one button, you wait 10 seconds, and the entire seat flips around. So if you're on board and for some reason it is facing backwards, which it shouldn't be, it should always be facing forwards to begin with, you just let your onboard host know, and in 10 seconds, they can turn that seat around for you. Good call out for any parties of 4 that are traveling together. If you've got a party of 4, we generally sit them across from each other. But if you actually want them to be in a 4-seater together, you just need to let us know in booking notes through RAO Europe, and we can get those seats facing each other.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you. I think that's it. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining. We have another webinar on Thursday on Germany, and that one's actually going to be quite interesting because we have a travel writer, Tim Richards, hosting it. So that's going to be quite a little bit different. I'll send you a follow-up email with all the slides, the recording and everything. I'll also link our most recent Once Upon a Train quiz, which is actually on Rocky Mountaineer. And if you fill it out by the 26th, so we got 3 more days, you can win a case of wine, which is pretty exciting, especially in these times. And all the other information that you need to learn about the product will be there in that email. If you have any questions, feel free to reply to that email. Ask away. We're of course here, the entire team, myself and Great Train Journeys, we're available for anything that you need. And a big thank you for Ben for giving us this nice tour of the Canadian Rockies with Rocky Mountaineer.
Anytime, and thanks Blaise for putting this on. It's great to get back into training and talking to people, because I've definitely missed it sitting at home here.